Shutter Speed, Episode 5. I'm not somebody that goes out and has to have the new iPhone. Several iPhones have come out since I've ever upgraded my iPhone. I was perfectly happy with my iPhone 10. I didn't have a problem with it. I used it all the time. I actually absolutely love that phone. And every time a new phone has come out, I'm somebody that digs into the specs. I like to look and see what the new iPhone has to offer. I know when they had AirPlay, that was a showstopper for me. I upgraded my phone just to get AirPlay. It was awesome. I love playing games on my TV. I love being able to broadcast TV shows or shows that I watch or podcasts, video podcasts onto my TV. I was perfectly happy. The iPhone XS was great. I love that phone. It wasn't until I saw the iPhone 12 Max Pro in person where I absolutely loved it. I had to have this phone. I've looked at it before. I looked at all the specs. It was out for over 6 months before I ever saw it in action. And when I did, I had to have this iPhone. It was a showstopper for me. It was something to take my photography to the next level. Today, I'm talking about 6 reasons on why I chose to upgrade to the iPhone 12 Max Pro and why I think if you're serious about your photography, if you're serious about making money from your photography, yes, I'm talking about making money in your photography with an iPhone Pro Max 12. Today, I'll give you those 6 reasons coming up next.
Do you love photography? Are you somebody that wants more out of your photography, to make money from your photography but don't know how to start? Welcome to Shutter Speed. Your host, Peter Spakowski, will guide you with tips, strategies, interviews, and know-how to start making money to pay for date night, new gear, or start a full-time career with your passion of photography. Let's get this show started. Here's your host, Peter Spakowski.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shutter Speed. My name is Peter Spakowski, and I am your host. It's been a great week this week so far today. And I just love recording the podcast. When I sit down in front of the microphone and I can share information to you, it feels great. This podcast is being recorded the week that Shutter Speed is actually being released. So I'm happy to put information out there to help you grow, to help you make money from photography. So if you're somebody that loves photography, that you're doing it as a hobby, that you love going out and taking pictures, you love taking pictures of people, no matter what your genre is of the photography that you love, I want to help you make money from that photography. Whether you just want to make enough to pay for date night on the weekend or buy new gear, because photography is cheap, right? And I've said that before, and I say that jokingly because it is anything but cheap. Just going out and buying a camera body is more than a huge car payment on a car. Multiple car payments, maybe depending on what body you buy, it might be a year's worth of car payments to buy that camera body. But we do it because we love it. We do it because we love capturing moments in time. We love capturing those events, those feelings, those experiences that people love, and we love to use those to remember things by. I love going back and looking at old pictures, my old hobbies as a kid, my old graduation pictures, my old yearbooks. I love going back and looking at all those different pictures. My old competition pictures, it's just brings back memories, and that does that for so many people. And there's things that we can do as a photographer to help people have those moments in time. I don't know how many times I've ever heard about somebody going and taking a picture of somebody or capturing a photo of somebody, and then tragedy hits, right? That person, for whatever reason, is no longer here. Whether it was from an accident or it was just their time. Those are things I've heard numerous times. So what we do as photographers are important. They are important. We have no idea how we touch the lives of so many people. And I just love coming here and sharing my information. I've had experiences in growing businesses, growing multiple different businesses, and growing my career, and took what I did as a life and mindset coach, and now I'm directing it towards my love of photography. That is something I absolutely love. I am a headshot photographer. I'm a physique photographer. I love doing those types of photos. And people need those types of photos. People need even travel photos. There's any area of photography that you love, you can make money from it. There's not one out there that you can't do it. You can make money from the pictures just sitting on your hard drive. Would you rather just have them sit in your hard drive, or would you have them sit in the cloud making money for you? It's easy to do. And a lot of times it does. It does pay enough to pay for date night. It does pay enough to buy new gear. You get you get out of it what you put in. And I want to help you learn on how to put things in to get what you want out. So today I'm talking about the iPhone 12 Pro Max. I absolutely love this phone. I've absolutely never loved a phone before until this one. And that's because it's a showstopper. It is something completely different, and it all has to do with the pictures it takes. No other reason. I'm not going to talk about any other areas of technical specs. I'm just talking about the reasons why I bought the iPhone 12 Pro Max. It wasn't the technical specs, because I've looked at them time and time again, and it was never enough for me to go and buy the phone. But before we get to those 6 reasons, I want to invite you to subscribe to this podcast. It's on a roll now. This is episode 5. I've got several, I think I have a dozen more set on what I'm going to record and all the different topics. I come up with 2 topics a week, and I record 1 a week. So I have plenty of podcasts to talk about. If you want more information, faster, go and check out 2mmacademy.com. Go over there, sign up for my email list. If you sign up for my email list, I'll send you a booklet I'm still developing, but it's almost done, on 5 strategies to start making money from your photography so you can pay for dinner this weekend. You can make enough money if you start today. I don't care if it's Wednesday or Thursday, even Friday. If you just put one of these strategies into place by this weekend, you can be paying for dinner out on Sunday, maybe even Saturday night. So it's pretty exciting. I've had people do this before, people that I've done in coaching before, people that I've just talked to in my photography clubs have done these strategies, maybe just one, and they've made money by the weekend to pay for dinner. I've even had somebody make enough. They started on Tuesday. They made enough to buy an $800 lens by the weekend. How cool is that? So go over to 2mmacademy.com, sign up for my email list, subscribe to this podcast. And if you feel like these podcasts are something that's positive for you, give me a 5-star review. It really helps out. Share it with somebody. Share it with your fellow photographers. They're not your competitors. Too many people in the photography area feel like every single photographer is a competitor. They're not. Everybody has a different style. Everybody has a different area that they like to photograph in. Not everybody's your photographer. We need to use each other and leverage each other in a community and a tribe and help each of us grow. So go over and check all those out. I'd appreciate it. Tell somebody about this podcast. And now let's get started with the 6 reasons why I bought the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Okay, so I had a hard time organizing these. I was going to do it from the least important to the most important, so people would listen to the very last one so they would understand why I bought this iPhone. But nothing on here is really earth-shattering. They're great, and there's a lot of areas that people really don't realize. So I just threw them out there, and number 1 and this might be the only reason why I bought the iPhone 12 Pro Max, but there's more, and it was just close, and it was because of the aperture setting. You can get a 1.6 aperture setting for this camera. I don't know if you're familiar with aperture settings and lenses and how much lenses cost, but if you got anything that was a 50 millimeter or higher with a aperture capability of f1.6, you're talking about spending a good $800 or more. And this camera is just a little bit more than that, but you get this aperture setting for this camera and it improves low light photography. I originally started as a low light photographer. I photographed bodybuilding, and I photographed bodybuilding shows where I would go to bodybuilding events and it was low light. So I needed at least a 2.3. 1.6, I would have loved to have something like that, but the size of lens that I would need, you're talking $8 to $10,000 just to get a lens with that low of aperture setting. But it improves low light photography. Incredible. I know with my 10, if the sun started to go down and, we're starting to get after that golden hour and the sun's almost set, right? The iPhone struggled. It struggled. And when you looked at the picture on a computer or you blew up the picture, it was really pixelated, right? There was a lot of noise in that picture, and you could never develop or print something like that, right? But with this iPhone, this is what I saw somebody, and we were outside at night and just with lights on in the background, and they took the picture, and it was amazing. It was just amazing how bright the picture was, how fast it actually focused. And not only how fast it focused, but it focused at the right point. It focused at the right point on the picture, and it was beautiful. It was so sharp and crisp. So just with that, it improves landscape photography. Think about going out and seeing a cityscape and taking a picture of a cityscape. I love cityscape pictures. I've got several printed on my wall, mostly Tampa, because I went down there with a friend, Daryl, and we took some pictures of Tampa, and the pictures were amazing. And he taught me about low light at night and taking cityscapes. And so I printed those out. I can get not the same look, but I can get a picture out of this iPhone 12 that I would print. It might be a cityscape. It might be a picture of a person, but even in low light, when the sun is gone and you're outside and maybe you're picking up some nice moonlight or you're picking up a porch light or a street light, the picture's beautiful. And I've never seen an iPhone handle nighttime photography like this one does. And usually to me, if a phone can handle low light photography like that, it's a good phone. It's a good camera to have. I've had point and shoot cameras that just couldn't even handle when the sun went down. Now we're just talking about phones having that capability. It's great. I'm still under the thought that phones will never replace the common camera, the common professional camera. It just won't. And I'll have more on that in a future podcast. It's actually coming up. It's in my notes to take, but it will never replace it. It will never replace professional photographers. So if you want to hear about that, subscribe to the show and you'll be sure to get the list, to get the download, and you'll find out my reasons why I feel like the iPhone will never replace a professional camera and why people getting an iPhone will never replace professional photographers. But the last part of number one is there's a technology in this phone and it's called LiDAR, and it's LiDAR technology. And with my old phone, if it started to get dark, it would sit there and it might take me 30 seconds to get the picture in focus. You would see it like everything would go blurry and the lights would expand and contract, expand, contract. And with this LiDAR technology, it allows the phone to focus 6 times faster in low light. And it is. When I took the phone and I was playing with it, I was walking around trying to take different pictures or just trying to see what I could get in focus. And it would almost instantly, I don't know about 6 times, because there's some times that it took me 20 to 30 seconds. And with this phone, I would just hold it up and it's ready to go. It was that fast. I didn't even have to point on the screen on what I wanted in focus. It focused in on that point and it was almost instant, and I could take the shot and I wouldn't miss it. How many times have we waited 5 seconds and we missed the shot? Even if it's somebody posing, the longer the person sits there and poses and waits for you to take a picture, the more painful they look. Look at their expressions on their face. It's not natural. You can tell that they were holding that smile, gritting their teeth, and they didn't want their picture taken, and you're having them sit there for 30 seconds while you try to get the picture in focus. When if you said something funny, you'd be able to catch it right away and get a natural look. So that was number 1. Number 2, it's the wide and ultra wide capabilities of this camera. How many times have you gone and taken a picture and you have to keep backing up, back up, back up, back up, and then you hit the wall and you don't have enough room to fit whatever the subject is in the camera into the picture? With this, you have the ultra wide lens. I don't know how many times that I've had groups of people where I've had to tell them getting closer, getting closer, getting closer, and they just look uncomfortably close, right? With this ultra wide lens, you can fit everybody in the frame. You can fit everybody in the frame, even if it's a small room. You just fit more in the frame. How would that be in taking pictures on Christmas morning of kids opening presents, right? Capturing that moment. Everybody at Thanksgiving dinner, everybody out to eat for a celebration, and you want to get everybody in. How many people have to lean in uncomfortably over the table to get in the shot? It just doesn't look natural, right? It looks funny. Yep, everybody's there, but oh my gosh, what you have to do to get everybody in the lens was horrible. With this ultra wide technology on the phone, people can sit there naturally around the table in the room and have a natural looking picture. So I love this ultra wide capability. Talking about landscapes earlier, right? Going out and taking a landscape shot, nightscape, right? Of a cityscape, nightscape, whatever it is, going out, you can fit so much more in the frame. You can almost, depending on, say if you're across a bay and you're taking a picture of a city, you just need to take one shot, and then if you crop it, you've got your panoramic picture right there from one shot. No longer do you have to move your phone or your camera and take multiple different shots and stitch them together. With this ultra wide capability, you can take the picture of the cityscape and have it take a panoramic just from one picture. That gives you better quality. It gives you the sharpness of the picture will be almost tack sharp. Not quite tack sharp because you really need a tripod for that. But if you had your camera on a tripod, you can literally get tack sharp pictures by taking a picture of a landscape and having a panoramic in one shot. So it's great for shooting indoors. Haven't tried real estate type photos yet. I don't think you're there. I don't know if you'll ever be there with an iPhone, but realtors are going to be able to take better pictures. So you as a photographer need to start upping your game, and you need to start upping your game with HDR and lighting if you're a real estate photographer, because one area that this camera or this phone will impact is real estate photography, because realtors can literally go in there with an iPhone 12 Pro Max and take some pretty darn good looking pictures of the real estate, saving them money. So you really need to specialize in upping your game in that. So that was number 2. Number 3 is the portrait mode. Now, I've always had portrait mode in my iPhone 10, so that was nothing new. But it really is those first two capabilities, and why I'm putting this as number 3, as the number 3 reason why I bought an iPhone 12 Pro Max. And it's because of portrait mode. I love having that 1.6 aperture setting, going out, setting my kids in front of a fountain and having it blur that background, blurring the water, blurring, any bokeh that's in the background. Bokeh actually really pops with this camera. And if you use portrait mode to go out and use the different settings, you can get multiple different looks without changing your lens, without changing a whole lot of settings. You just swipe the screen and you can select one of the multiple different types of portrait mode. But with the ultra wide lens, again, portraits, you pick up more background, and the person just pops in the screen. The blur is amazing. And for it to be a technology on a phone, it's fantastic. Sometimes it gets to be a little too extreme, where in a camera, you can adjust the amount that you want it to blur just based on your f-stop that you want to set in your camera and the distance and the type of lens that you're using. You can modify that blur. In the iPhone, I haven't figured out a way to do that easily yet. So it is what it is. But from what I can tell, it's been really nice. It gives you a really nice, crisp look. The person looks like they're popping out of the camera. There's sometimes I'm just walking and take a picture of one of my kids, and it's like a fantastic picture. I mean, we're outside and we're even walking, and I set the portrait mode and just say, hey, Hunter, hey, Madison, PJ, any of them. And they look at me and I snap the shot. And some of them have been so good, I would print them and put them on my wall. Some of them I've printed and put on my desk. So that's how good the portrait mode is in this phone. The blur is just great. The other thing is how I started in photography. I'm big with shadows. I love taking pictures of shadows. I like having harsh shadows on people, almost like a bodyscape. If you look at a lot of bodybuilding pictures, you get a lot of shadows. It accents the muscles. So I don't know if you want to accent somebody's arms, somebody's abs, somebody's legs, somebody's back. You tend to do that with shadows, and you bring the brighter light on the body part that you're trying to highlight, and you shadow out the rest. Previous iPhones, you get the shadow, but you can still see a lot of detail in the shadow, and it just looks lighter. It doesn't look like shadows. But with this portrait mode and this camera, you can pick up some really cool shadows that I've not been able to pick up on any other iPhone. And I've played with other iPhones before this one, even though I've never upgraded for quite a while. I've played with the phones, and that's one of the things that I love to try and do, but they're not great in low light photography. So you don't get really good shadows. You have to have low light capabilities to really pick up those shadows. And I love showing people with their phone and how they can use shadows and how they can set up portrait mode and capture shadows. And parents that have kids that do sports, maybe they're in their uniform or something like that, I've showed them how, and they love it. And people have actually printed, pictures for their desk that they've taken with their iPhone 12 Pro Max, because they just love the shadows and they love the look that it gives with this new iPhone. So that was number 3. Number 4, these pictures are vibrant. One thing I love about pictures is I love having vibrant pictures. If you're outside in nature, I want the flowers to look vibrant. I want the trees to look vibrant. If you're taking pictures of cityscapes, I want the pictures to be vibrant. One area that I love to take pictures of are fireworks. And I've not had a chance yet because of COVID and things going on with lockdowns and people canceling celebrations. I've not had a chance to go out and be able to take pictures of fireworks with this camera yet. That wouldn't have been a reason why I bought it, but had I seen anybody that has done it in the past, it might have been something else that absolutely solidified. But I literally, from the time I saw this iPhone 12 Pro Max in person, I ordered the phone the next day. So there was little thinking about it. Even though I looked at all the technical specs and everything, it wasn't until I saw it and I saw what the pictures looked like. I mean, it took me less than 24 hours to order this phone. I had to wait another month because there was a backlog, but it literally took me less than 24 hours to buy this phone after I saw it in action in these areas that I love to shoot. So things are super vibrant. You can adjust the vibrancy. I don't ever play with filters on the phones. I don't ever add filters to anything that I take pictures of. Otherwise, some of the funny ones that really morph your face and things like that, those I'll play with. But people that take pictures and they add filters to them to look better, I don't ever do that. I don't do that in my professional photography, rarely. I don't do that anything in my phone. I just want to take a picture and capture it. So the vibrancy is just phenomenal. It's amazing. And it's something that is important to me when I'm taking pictures, is I want pictures to have vibrancy. I always add, things to be vibrant in Lightroom or Capture One or Photoshop, whichever I'm using at the time. Another podcast coming on, the difference between Capture One and Lightroom, and my thoughts on those. So you don't want to miss it. Be sure to subscribe. Number 5, this is the biggest iPhone ever. Now, I'm not big. I've had small phones. I've had, I think it was like whatever year, the very first year that the really big one came out. I bought it. It was great, but it was a pain to put in my pocket. I actually ended up bending it a little bit because I kept it in my pocket. So I had to buy a better case the next time, which made it even bigger, cracked the glass. But this one they have surgical steel, so the frame should be stronger. And I'm looking at the research on that, and it does not bend as easily. So that's cool. And this glass is the strongest glass ever. I've only cracked one screen, knock on wood. So hopefully I don't do that again. It was the back screen. But this phone is insured. So if I do crack the screen, then I'm covered. But the reason why the big screen was so important to me is if you have a professional camera and you go out and take pictures, right, you have that little 1 to 2.5 inch screen on the back of your camera. You can't tell. I mean, you can do things to highlight where you're blowing out the picture, right? Or there's colors missing within the image. That's great, but it's so small. With this, if I'm using it for photography, it gives me a better view of what this picture looks like. Also, with the Max, the larger iPhone, it adds additional capability into the camera. So you're even getting a better camera within this iPhone. It's better than the 12 standard size phone. So if you really are upgrading to get a better camera, you need to go with the Max. It is big. You'll get used to it, but I love the benefits of having that bigger screen where I can see the picture better on the screen. I'm older, right? So I'm 49 years old. My eyes aren't as great. I can't wear glasses when I'm taking pictures. So having that bigger screen, I can see if the picture's in focus or what, and have those better capabilities because of that bigger phone. So it's great for playing games too. I'm not a big gamer on my phone. There's 2 games I play on my iPhone, but it helps me be able to see it before I would only play them on my iPad, because some of them, like Clash of Clans, it's a little bit harder to see on a smaller iPhone. But those are, having that bigger phone really, really helps when you're out there taking pictures, when you're out there taking nighttime pictures, landscape, nightscape photography. Having that bigger screen really, really helps. And if you use like a rail or something like that to help stabilize the picture, It really helps. So I love having that on my phone when I'm out there taking picture. Or if you're a big platypod user, I love platypods. Go and check them out. They're great. They help, they're a mini tripod. A lot of places you can't have tripods. They even make one for the phones, and it's fantastic. I keep it in my back pocket, and if I need a place where I can stabilize my phone to get that better shot, I use that. Number 6, the last reason why, and this was another kind of showstopper for me, and if you're a professional photographer or a professional hobbyist photographer where you know a lot about photography, you know about shooting in RAW. And this phone allows you to shoot in RAW. So with RAW, what that does is it allows you to do more with editing. There's more detail. You can fine tune a picture better with a RAW file if you put it into Photoshop, Lightroom, Capture One. RAW gives you more capabilities to make the picture even better, from shadows and highlights to vibrancy to clarity, whatever it is, making it more sharp, right? You can take a picture, even if it's sharp, you can add a little bit more sharpness within Photoshop and make it tack sharp. So having that RAW file, it is a big file, so you need to get an iPhone that has a lot of storage, but just transfer them to your computer, delete them off your phone if you need to. I use iPhone Cloud or iCloud storage. That's cheap now. I think like $3, and I've got a ton of space, and I'm nowhere near running out. I'll probably be on vacation somewhere when I do run out, and then I'll have to go through and just delete things off my phone. That's how that typically happens. But having the capability of shooting in RAW and then importing those into your computer to make things, to fine tune things, this is great. And again, we're talking about having that capability. If you do want to make money from your photography, you can take that file and go and make it better and add your touch and add your niche, right, to that picture. Add your style. What's your style? Do you add different colors or different shadows? What do you do to make that picture look better, to make that picture your style? You can do that with RAW. In previous phones, you shot strictly in JPEG. You can't do much with JPEG files. You can make them brighter, more vibrant. You can add vibrancy, maybe in areas you don't even want to, and you wish you had the capability of adding vibrancy to different areas. Shooting in RAW allows you to do that. And it gives you a better file. You can export it into TIFFs, create an even better picture for prints. So those are the 6 reasons why I bought the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And again, I ordered it within hours from the time I saw it. This wasn't a technical review. I didn't have a whole lot to talk about technology here. And again, I didn't buy this phone because of the technology. If I bought a phone because of the technology, I'd be upgrading every single release, every single year that they would have a new iPhone. So the one thing I do see with this iPhone that I bought, I'm retiring my point and shoot cameras. I don't know if I'm ever going to use them again. I'm not talking about my professional camera, but those smaller cameras that weigh a lot less, that have capabilities, that have digital zoom, things like that. Like the first camera that I started with, the Sony point and shoot camera. It's I'm going to just use my iPhone. I mean, you go out there, and even Scott Kelby is talking about just carrying around his iPhone. The best phone that you have, or the best camera that you have, is the one that you have with you at that moment. And the iPhone 12 Pro Max just improves that capability so much. When I go on vacations, unless I'm shooting like lighthouses or beaches or some type of landscape photography, I'm just using my iPhone. You can use your iPhone for so much now, and this new phone gives you so much capability. And this podcast really is about helping you make money from your photography and how to get started making money in photography. With this phone, you can do that. You can go out there and make money from your photography, even if it's with an iPhone. You can go out there and do portraits of people and have great, wonderful pictures of people. You can do mini sessions, having people come and take pictures. You can do stock photography. You can do so much with this phone where you can literally make enough money to pay for this phone if you put in the work in a month or two. You can host mini sessions, charge $50, $100. A lot of mini sessions these days cost $200, $250. If it's your iPhone, do it for $100. People will come in and see the quality of the picture that you're able to take with your iPhone, and you can make money from doing that. You can make money from stock photography. If you're out and you see something cool, or if you can stage people in a certain way in an office and take pictures, you need, copy releases for that. But you can do so much in capturing pictures and selling them as stock. There's a million other things that you can do. You can capture pictures and print books or printed documents. You can go out and capture parties for work with your phone. You can capture moments at weddings with your phone. There's so much that you can do with this new phone that you couldn't do with the previous iPhones before. I remember even taking a picture of one of my friends with my older phone, and he was just getting frustrated because I couldn't get in tight enough with my phone. I was almost on top of him, right? Because trying to capture that picture, and it was just too much boring sky, too much boring background in the picture. But with this ultra wide lens and shooting in portrait mode, you can zoom in nice and tight where you fill the frame. But you really can get this iPhone and start making money from it. You just need to be creative with what you're offering within this capabilities of this iPhone. Know what you're capable of. If people question you while you're using the phone, take a couple pictures of them and show them what you're getting, or have printed examples of pictures that you've posted on, your social media that you've taken with the iPhone. People will pay for good quality pictures. They will pay for what they know they're going to get with the pictures that you offer. And if you can build a portfolio with this camera, people will pay you money for your skills. It's the skill of the person taking the picture, not the technology. The technology's been there forever. It's always been the skill of the person offering what people want. So that's the podcast today. It was a longer one today. I appreciate it. I really thought this was going to be a shorter one when I picked the topic, and it turned out to be the longest one that I've recorded for Shutter Speed so far. If you like this podcast, go out, give me a 5-star review, share it with your friends, share it with people that have the same hobby as you. Let's build this community. Go to 2mmacademy.com. I'm building a community where people can grow from each other there, where people can do critiques of other pictures. It's going to be a fun community, and it's really going to help you. I want to help people take their love of photography from hobby to income, from going out there and having a passion and making money from their photography, whether you're making money today or not. If you're making money today, I want to share strategies with you that help you grow, that help you become economic proof, right? That help you become virus proof. A lot of photographers were really hit the last year with COVID-19, right? But there are things that we could do as photographers to help protect us in situations like that. And that's what next week's podcast is about. I'm talking about ways to proof your photography business or your photography hobby from things like COVID, right? How can you bulletproof your photography income, hobby, whatever it is? I invite you to come back next week and enjoy another episode of Shutter Speed.
Thank you for listening today. We would love to hear from you and would love you to engage with the community. For more tools, tips, and know-how, head over to the 2mm Academy at 2mmstudio.com and join us.